Okay, back to where we were. Part two. Okay, so what we're going to use is something called a component. A component is like a filled region, except it's already pre-done with like something that looks like plywood or chipboard or brick. The only thing about these components is you're probably going to have to load some. Your computer probably won't have them built in. And if you're sitting at one of those two computers that have no what do you call it? No default built in, where it doesn't have all the templates, architectural templates, I would suggest you move somewhere else. So sorry if it took you this long to figure that out, but you should move to one of the computers that actually has an architectural template, because otherwise this will get really confusing. Anyway, so we'll go to click component. Now right now mine only has bricks, which I will use, and wide flange section, which is a basically kind of like an I-beam. So we're going to have to go over here to load a new family. Now I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. You can always go back and rewind, pause if you need to figure out where it goes. But we're going to go load family. Now everything we need is going to be under detail items this time. Detail items are two-dimensional items, and everything we're drawing in this view is two-dimensional. So I'm going to click detail items, and here's all our divisions. This is all architectural divisions. So let's see, drywall is under finishes, believe it or not. Paints and stuff like that are also under here, but I'm going to click finishes, and then I'm going to click plaster and gyp board or gypsum board, and then gypsum board again. And here are a bunch of different things. If you click on it, it'll show you a preview. Here's corners, in case you're doing a detail of a corner, which we're not. This last one is the one we need. So I'm going to click gypsum wallboard section and then say open. Now, over here under properties, if I click the pull down menu again, I have all these different sizes over here now. Now, the one we're going to use, the normal one used in houses and most commercial stuff, is 5/8 inch chipboard. Type X is for fire resistant assemblies, so we're going to just use the regular 5/8. Now, it's ready to go, and it's a running pattern, so I can click on one corner and then scroll over and click on the other. So if I click here, you notice that I zoom in, I can see it's making a pattern all the way across. So I'm going to click all the way here to this corner. Now, if it's for some reason on yours, it's showing up on the bottom side of that line like this, you can press spacebar. Oh, well, let me do it. You should be able to press spacebar. It's not letting me do it because I'm recording this, but you should be able to press spacebar and it'll flip this to the other side of the line. But it should come out like mine just from the beginning. So if you press escape a couple times, you get back out of that. Now you see we have the chipboard and nothing else. The next step we're going to need is the studs. So we'll have chipboard, then studs, and then we start to go further and further outside to the exterior. So to get a studs, you're going to go back to annotate, component, same thing. Now, as you saw, we didn't have studs before, any kind of wood studs. We do have brick, which we'll use. We're going to go back to load family, detail items again. Now this time, we're going to go under, where is it, wood and plastic, because wood studs are made of wood. Then we're going to click wood framing, because wood studs are part of wood framing. And we have nominal and rough cut. Rough cut is what you would use like in a barn or something. It's not nice cut wood. It's not as finished. Nominal cut is what you get at the lumber yard usually. It's already cut specific dimensions. In this case, a 2x4 is 1 5/8 by 3 5/8. It's just the way it is. So if we click section, this is what it would look like if you cut a board in half and looked at it from the end. The X is just showing you that it's being cut through by the end. It's just to show you that that's a piece of wood that's being cut through. So I'm going to click section. I'm going to say open. Now here's all their different sizes. You could go through and click this one and then go all the way down to the bottom, press shift, and then click again, and it would select all of them, but we really only need a 2x4. So if we scroll up to here where it says type, here's our 2x4 right there. It's 3.5 inches by 1.5 inches. Okay, 2x4. So say OK. Now, look, here's my 2x4. So I can put these, and now remember we're cutting through the wall horizontally and looking down into the cavity. So this is the way the studs would look like if you cut them in half and look down on them by the end. So we're going to put our stud. I'm going to start right here, right where it meets the gypboard and the edge of that wall section. And you notice it's going to let me click as many as I want. But really, I'm going to press escape a couple times because I want these to be a specific distance apart. And that distance is 16 inches. It's called 16 inch on center. So in residential construction, they are 16 inches apart. So what we're going to do, we're going to click it again, that one we just put in, and then you're going to click this tool, which is the copy tool. Click it. Then you're going to select the middle. That triangle means the midpoint of that thing, and it says midpoint there. You're going to click it and then slide it over, and you notice it's giving me a dimension, and if I key in a number, it's going to change that dimension. So I'm sliding it over, and I'm going to key in 16 and then the quote mark for inches, and then press enter. Now if I zoom out, there's my other stud. And I can do this again and again as many times as I need. Copy, midpoint, and then I'm going to say 16 inches, enter. There's another one. Now if you do it 16 inch on center and you only did a 4-foot wall here, then you probably only be able to get 3 studs in, just like when we were making the physical section in class. Now if I do another one, let's just see. If I click it, copy, middle, and then 16 inches like this. Yeah, see, it's past the wall. I can leave it in there, but it's right past the wall. So I'm just going to delete that one. We don't need it. Now, what do we have in our walls that keeps us warm in the winter and cool in the summer? We have to have insulation. And this is the insulation. It's called bat insulation. And there's already a tool just for insulation right here. It says insulation. And it says places a bat insulation graphic in a detailed view. See that little squiggly line where the blue is the insulation. So we're going to click that. It's already set up for the correct depth, which is the depth of this stud, which is 3.5 inches. So we're going to click just the middle of the stud where the triangle is and drag it over to the next stud in the middle and click that. And then do the same thing for the next one. Click, click, then click, and then probably end it right there. If you press escape a couple times, it will get you out of that function. So this is my bat insulation that goes between the studs. Good. All right, so what's the next part? Now, on the back of the wall, going towards the outside, you are going to have wood sheathing or plywood sheathing. And this is going to be another component. So click component. And you're going to load the family. Detail items, same thing. And then it's actually under, I don't know if I can remember. Wood, it's wood and plastic. There it is, sheathing. That's a wood sheathing. And we're going to do plywood. Plywood wood sheathing. So we say open. And it already loaded in a bunch of different sections automatically. We have 1 1/8 all the way down to 7/8. So the one we're going to use is 3/4 of an inch. It was already set to that one. And just like the drywall, we'll click and move it across all the way to the end here. And although that doesn't look like plywood, that is the symbol pattern for plywood. That's what plywood looks like for